How the fuck do I start this video?
Gravel cycling is taking over the world.
I've been racing and exploring on a gravel bike now for probably close to 10 years, even before gravel was gravel, apparently. And I want to do a short video giving you I forgot what I'm talking about, giving you 5 things that can help you if you're looking to get started in gravel. Number 1, Marshall, you're not number 1. You are number 1. He's number 1. You're number 1. Oh my goodness. You probably shouldn't be doing that. Get down. Lie down. Good boy. Number 1, go tubeless. I am a huge believer in tubeless is just better for gravel riding and off-road riding in general. It means you can run a lot lower pressures and you're going to alleviate the potential risk of pinch flats, especially when you're riding over some rough stuff. An inner tube could quite easily get caught and pinched. But the big thing is being able to run lower pressures and having the magic of them being able to seal themselves. There's loads of tubeless sealant offerings out there from various different brands. The one I end up using is Styrkr's sealant. Quite an expensive product, but it does the job better than anything else I've found on the market. Most gravel tires, if not all gravel tires generally available, are tubeless ready tires. There is a bit of preparation that needs to go into it. You need to make sure that the rim tape on your wheels is appropriate. So you might need to change the rim tape. You will need some spare valves, which will basically go into the rim and make sure they're nice and tight. And then you need the appropriate tire for that. The good thing about tubeless means that if you do get a puncture, generally speaking, it will reseal itself by the sealant that you put into the tire, effectively plugging the hole. If that doesn't happen, you can use things like Dynaplugs or other sort of tubeless puncture repair kit things that will allow you to seal the tire. But I really do think for off-road riding and especially gravel riding, tubeless is the way to go. Number 2, bigger is always better. I'm pretty much a convert for bigger tires for road cycling. I am definitely a convert for the biggest tires that your bicycle manufacturer would recommend putting on your bike. A bigger tire is ultimately going to give you better traction, better cornering speed, better grip. And now tires have advanced so much, actually the larger tire doesn't really affect you that much in the sense of rolling resistance, but you're going to be so much more comfortable. Being able to have a bigger tire on the bike is going to ultimately allow you to ride further, ride faster, and enjoy your experience riding off-road much more. The key thing to mention here is to be cautious of what your frame manufacturer recommends as the tire size limit. This can vary depending on the group set on the bike as well. So for example, Argon 18's Dark Matter, their gravel bike, can fit a 45mm front and rear tire, but you could probably fit slightly more on it if you're running a 1x system closer to a 48mm tire. Number 3, if you are a bit limited with your tire size that you can fit on your bike, consider purchasing some 650B wheels. A 650B wheel is a smaller size wheel than what we often see now in road cycling and in gravel of a 700C wheel. The smaller wheel size will allow you to fit a larger volume tire onto the bike, basically just because there's more space to be able to do it because the wheel's smaller. There are pros and cons to 650B, of course. One of the pros that a lot of people say with 650B is actually the acceleration is quicker with it, and that's down to the wheel size being smaller. But one of the cons is that actually the rollover of obstacles might feel a bit harsher because it's a smaller thing. There's like less, I don't know how to explain it. The rollover over obstacles might be a bit harsher because of the wheel being smaller effectively. It seems to be at the moment the current trend with gravel bikes and gravel cycling is actually beefing up the clearance so you can fit bigger tires closer to a mountain bike sized tire on the frame itself, as opposed to focusing on 650B and then being able to fit a larger tire in that way. This change might mean that people are actually going to start using mountain bike tires more for gravel than dedicated gravel tires, which ultimately probably isn't a bad thing at all. Number 4, consider suspension. Now what I mean by this is ways to allow you to be more comfortable on the bike. There's loads of options out there. You can look at things like Redshift suspension stems. They also produce a suspension seat post, which gives you some movement to eat up some of the vibration from the terrain you're going over. If you have a suspension correct geometry frame, You could look at a suspension gravel fork like this one from Fox. There are loads of different options available for this as well. My recommendation, if you are wanting something to help with comfort, is to look at something like the stem, because it's a much easier swap than the fork. And also, as I say, if your frame set is not designed as a suspension corrected frame set, which quite a lot of gravel bikes actually aren't, this is the way to go, because the fork could change how the bike rides, how it feels. It could slacken the head tube and it might make it just feel a bit weird. Have a look at things like Redshift stems, Redshift seat posts, and also Redshift do quite a nice system which allows you to pad out the handlebars a bit more. So consider suspension as something to help you get a bit more comfort on the bike as well. And lastly, number 5, the easier the gear, the better. That sounds almost counterintuitive, to be honest, but I'm a big believer, especially for gravel and off-road, in having a very, very, very easy gear. You might be going up some crazy steep terrains, you might be riding in some slush and some really thick mud, so having a really easy gear is going to allow you to be able to still pedal and hopefully reduce the time that you have to walk with the bike.
What the? Wow.
Yeah, I'm silly.
If you're considering doing bike packing races such as Badlands, Grand Guanche, the more gravelly off-road ones, when you have a loaded bike as well, having an easier gear is just going to mean you can ride more of it. If you start descending and you're descending at 40 kilometers an hour, you don't really need to go any faster. So just freewheel, in my opinion. So it's definitely worth considering potentially putting on an easier chainring or a larger range cassette on the rear. With SRAM, you can do this using a mullet setup. So you could use one of their mountain bike cassettes and rear mechs with a gravel bike chainring on the front. Or with Shimano, there's ways of doing it using things like the Wolftooth road links, and these will allow you to increase the range of the cassette on the back. Got itchy nose. Lastly, gravel is an incredibly broad term for cycling, not just in the UK, but globally. In the UK, we maybe don't necessarily have the straight up gravel roads that you see in America, in Spain, etc., but we have a lot of off-road terrain. A gravel bike is an incredibly versatile bike. It can be used as a road bike, it can be used probably as a hardtail as well to some extent. The best thing about them is they are incredibly versatile. So you can go have fun with them out there, go experiment, try different things out, try different tires, try out different group set options and gear ratios and see what works for you. Ultimately, it's your bike. You can do whatever you like and whatever you fancy. If you have any other tips for gravel and getting into gravel, please drop them in the comments below. And thanks for watching. See you for the next one. Bye, Marshall.
Marshall said
Up.
bye.
Coming up.
No.
Oh, he said bye.